Hello, beautiful, and welcome to the podcast where we're moving the conversation forward about the choices you make in your daily life. I'm your host, Monica Cox, and I'm here right alongside of you, learning, growing, observing, and trying to make better choices consciously and subconsciously. Together, we're going to become better versions of ourselves and have raw, honest, open conversations about the things that truly affect our lives. And maybe, just maybe, finally get to a place where everyone else's BS doesn't trigger us.
I feel like though, since coming back from that, like I'm still, I like just committed. I actually just got off my own mastermind call before this. And I was like, I'm like recommitting fully to being in my business tomorrow. Like this month has just been a little bit of like, we're going to like just do the status quo this month. And
Yeah,
you know how that is, seasons of life.
right. I feel like sometimes you need that though. Like, isn't that what owning your own business is all about?
It's the benefit. Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
Like,
And I think
okay.
like that's the aspect is like for me, it's interesting. Like we all struggle with different things, right? Like for me, I struggle with letting myself receive that time off sometimes. And so when we went to Sedona this time, I was like, I'm not posting on Instagram. I'll like share on my stories, just like our fun adventures, but like nothing business related. I'm not going there. But it's like I went hard in the paint that week where I was like, your girl wants a couple more weeks off. And so I've just sort of been living in that land. But tomorrow, like it's a new day, it's a new month. I can feel the energy. So like that's all good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to like just be on the cycle of running your business on social media
Yes.
because I feel, I mean, we've been doing this for years now and we've seen it dramatically change.
Yep.
And I feel like it's all bullshit, really. Like I feel like it's all just like this never-ending treadmill that you have to regain your momentum on constantly.
Well, and it's twofold. It's like, yes, I do believe that, but I also do believe like I think the reason as to why like we are on that treadmill and it's like this constant reconnection, constant momentum, constant whatever it is, I think it's twofold. It's like as humans and as expressions of humans, we evolve. Our
Yeah.
aliveness evolves. What we're super passionate about evolves. And I think like that this is the struggle that I see like most entrepreneurs have is we lean too heavily in our human evolution and we think that that is supposed to be at the forefront of our business.
Yeah.
And when we do that, your business is just this constant evolution, which is great. And I did that for years as a spiritual life coach, did that for years. But that actually is not sustainable. And longevity wise, it's hurting your brand because
Mhm.
one moment you're this, the next moment you're this, the next moment you're that, the next this, the next this, the next this. And like I do believe this is me. I feel like entrepreneurship with social media, it's like a coming out online fucking right.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
first the first time that you start posting, you're like, God, this feels fucking
Oh,
foreign. And I'm terrified that people are going to see this. I'm terrified that people are going to judge me. Am I in my power? Is this even true? Like we move through this whole phase that I think a lot of people think that they don't have to go through.
mhm.
Like that they won't go through it rather. But I literally don't know a single fucking person who hasn't gone through that phase of trying to figure out who they want to be in the online space, who they want to be in their business. But then we end up staying in that camp instead of just focusing on our outcome and focusing on the delivery and what we actually fucking do as a skill set, as a practical, tangible focus. And I think that's what we're witnessing in the industry ourselves right now. Like much like you said, you know, the industry itself has shifted tenfold. Like when I first came into the industry, I was surrounded with a lot of feminine leaders who were preaching energetics and energetics alone. And energy is so fucking important, like 100%. Like if you are not aligned with the vision, if you are not in the right energy that supports that outcome, you're not going to get there. Very fucking true. But then also, like, we are now watching people, what I feel like is a truth-telling era, where more people are stepping into grounded, truthful processes, and they're calling out the bullshit that they've seen for so long and that they've leaned into and believed, that actually was stunting their growth. Like business is so much simpler than the complexity of the coaching industry, of how complex the coaching industry makes it. And honestly, like that's the other aspect I always look at now, like business just in general, it's a science. It's literally a science. You do this, you do this, you do this. But in some way, shape, or form, we've decided that we need to have businesses that are so us, we remove what we know is true. We remove what actually works. And the people that are the most successful can hold both like practical, truthful, this is what fucking works, also with their humanity at the exact same degree. But that's hard to do. That's hard to hold yourself and like truthful processes, because your ego will love to kick the real shit that you have to do to the side and will just continue to attach itself to itself, and that is 100% preventing your growth.
There's like a large feeling of mundaneness as well in business, right? It's that consistency, and you can apply that to any aspect of life, really. It's exciting at first, it's a new adventure, you're healing, you're growing, you're changing your diet, like whatever it is, you know, you're showing up, and then it's like the success is in the mundaneness of the consistency. And like you say, like not looking at shiny objects. And I mean, entrepreneurship is just a spiritual practice anyways.
It really is.
You
It
know,
really
like
is.
you got to show up and be vulnerable and be able to shift too. And I think there's this identity we all come into building a business with that has nothing of like who we truly are, what we truly want, all that kind of stuff. So when you are truly shifting and going through all that, you do question your business. You do look at it and go, you know, like for me, I came in with like all this unworthiness and getting like the worth from the, you know, the likes and the money and all that kind of stuff. And when that all went away, and when you kind of see through the BS and you're like, what are you trying to be the goat of? Like nothing. I can literally just poof disappear tomorrow. Then you have to question, why am I showing up then? And then that's where the pure service comes from. But you have to take all those lessons of the like physical aspects of business and apply them and finesse them and shift with the times of whether it be algorithm or, you know, what people are looking for, whatever it is. And I think that's why most businesses fail.
It's, to me, yes, exactly. To me, it's rigidity. The most successful entrepreneurs are fluid as fuck. They literally roll with the punches. They like, what's that? There was this meme that somebody just sent me the other day that like literally cracked my ass up. It was about how like crackheads don't wake up in the morning.
Oh, I just saw that this morning.
Yes, right?
Yes.
Like, they are literally like, oh, I'm going to find a way to get that crack. I'm going to find a way to make that happen. And it's that like obsessive compulsive drive of like, this is where I'm going. But like the actual, how they actualize that is all fluid. It's not the exact same way every single day. And it's so funny that I'm equating this. But like in my head, I'm like, literally like, you might be getting your crack from some guy at the street corner here. And tomorrow you might have to travel 5 miles to go somewhere else to get it. And it's like literally people that get what they fucking want, fluid. That's it. Like that's the key, but it's like fluid with everything. And I think like that's the perspective in business. And what I find just in humanity in general, we want so desperately to put ourselves in a fucking box and like slap a label on ourselves and identify as something when I truly fundamentally believe that's not the way. That's
Yeah.
not what like the universe intended. That's not how humans actually work. That's not how business works. Like it's not that but the more people when you're it's like it's a little bit of a double-edged sword or very nuanced, but it's like the more you're attached to the identity period, like the you're capping your own results that way. And especially as a business owner, because you're going to wear how many different hats in any given day, right?
Yeah.
Like and that's just from like the actual like systematic aspect and like growth oriented aspect in your business. But like even as coaches, I mean, I genuinely yesterday I had somebody come in my DM, or I'm sorry, in my Telegram, and we were doing like messaging refinement. I had another client come in who was like, I want to scale this offer, but I don't exactly know how to innovate it so that I'm not mimicking certain aspects and I don't want it to match this and this. I want it to be completely different. And then I had another person who came in and was like, I'm realizing how much I have my worthiness wound is still at the surface. And it was all just like people pleasing, personal life shit. Like that's what we were looking at. And so like even to meet complex humans, like the best coaches, the best mentors, they're fluid in their approach because they have to be.
Yeah.
Because life is fluid in and of itself. Business is no fucking different. But I think like we genuinely, I mean, it would be a very nice world if it was like, oh, I found the one strategy and I get to just play this on repeat and I never have to do anything different again. And it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
exactly. There's been something that I've been like noticing lately. Do you know Joe Polish? I think that's his name.
yeah.
He wrote a book, What's in It for Them. He's this amazing entrepreneur. He was like a druggie, and then he like rearranged his life and became like a multimillionaire in business. But then kind of woke up to that it was kind of sleazy and like, it was always about him and like what he needed and he gets and stuff like that. And obviously one of my superpowers is to see people's bullshit, right? And I see that in a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
And they play the games, right? And like I have on like my vision board being an Amazon bestseller, right? And I have a journal out there and it does well. But I know that to get that title of Amazon bestseller, there's a trick to it.
Yep.
Where you either pay people or you put your book on for super cheap and you get this like kind of it's false. It's a false like boost in your book sales. And then you can give yourself the title, even if it's just for 1 week, you were Amazon bestseller #1.
Yep.
From like a quote unquote spiritual point of view, like how do you see that? Because for me, it feels sleazy. Like it does not resonate with me. Not that I think it's wrong, but it just doesn't. Playing the game, I can see why people get ahead and get where they want to go. And then I always have to remind myself, yeah, but when they get to that destination, are they truly happy? Are they truly fulfilled? Are they truly serving? But from your point of view as a coach, if someone came to you and like, let's just take this Amazon book thing, what would be your advice?
Well, so like it's twofold because like here's the truth is I feel like this is conditioning, truly. I feel like we have created some narratives around selling and getting ahead just in general. Like in for a variety of ways. Like think about this, like back in the day when a woman got ahead, it's because she was sleeping with everybody, quote unquote, right? Like sleazy, that was sleazy, gross, right? it's no different here of like, oh, they got ahead. Well, they got ahead because they had an affiliate that boosted them, or they made a brand partnership deal with an influencer who had, 5 million followers, and that person boosted them. And so now they got ahead. And so we call that sleazy. And I think there's like, it's twofold. I have two beliefs around this, which is it's, of course, everything is fucking two beliefs minimum. There's this aspect in my eyes that goes smart business strategy.
Mm-hmm.
My smart businesswoman goes, fucking do it. Let's
Mm-hmm.
make the connections. Let's network. Let's do what we have to do. Let's go, right? The spiritual component of me that is still wounded, because there's always going to be parts of you that are wounded. That version of me goes, that's like a shortcut. You cheated. You didn't work for it. You didn't work hard for it. You found the path. I call it a path to profitability. Like, that's what it is the path to profitability is also, from an energetic component, the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
But what's so funny about it is we all have such an aversion and resistance to actually being on the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like those beliefs of like, oh, it can be easy.
But
Like,
is it easy, or is it just parlor games?
well, I wouldn't even say parlor games. That I guess like easy is not the term. I would just call it smart. Like,
Yeah.
that's the truth. Like, if you really like, and think about that, like the best business-minded people, they have smart, effective strategies.
Yeah. And I guess if you're not duping anyone, like if you're really not tricking anyone,
That is the key.
then that's the point of that's the line. That's the line that you're walking. And I suppose you just have to show up in your growth of what that line is. And it's just an interesting thing to watch, because you see all these people go out and start building courses and like coaching, business coaching and all that. But when you're able to unpick of how they got there and then what they're selling, they're two different things. And I guess that's what pisses me off, is that there's the honesty about it, right? Of
Oh my,
like, no, that's not how you got there. Just be honest, because then if you're honest, people will resonate it with still like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. That doesn't, feel icky to me. But then they
exactly.
show up and then it's like, no, well, I didn't get that success. Yeah, because that's not how they got their success.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think like that's the truthful part about this is like, to me, integrity is absolutely
Mhm.
fucking everything. Truth is, I don't think most of the coaching industry has fucking integrity.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know who I was saying it to the other day, but I just feel like 98% of the people that I connect with on more of a business level, entrepreneurship level, are literally just in it for them. Like, I
Yes.
feel like they have a clean heart in like what they're trying to get out there is pure, but there's this still maybe ego-driven thing or lack-driven thing, like whatever it is. And it sucks for me, because there's like, I'm like, why can't you just give in? Like, like just go with the fucking flow. And maybe I need to unpack this shit, but it's just like, nah, I'm gonna swim upstream. Always, my whole life. And I mean, I guess that's just like the path that I'm on. Maybe I'll learn to go with the flow, but maybe the flow isn't for me. Who knows?
Well, that's the truth. Like, I think like that's the other perspective of it is like, I don't- like when I look at my own business journey, and actually I want to make this point before I even go into that, because you said something about how like all these people who are coaches who are making courses and doing whatever. Truth is like, I don't know why. I do know why. It's an unregulated industry, but I don't know why humans don't feel like they need to actually build their coaching skill set and their coaching practice and get evidence and experience to back what it is they're selling. Like, it's almost like people like jump into the mind, body, spirit wellness industry, the personal development industry. And when they feel this much better, they're now an expert.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how long have you been an expert for? How long have you maintained those results? Are those results long term? Are they sustainable? Do you have track record of actually helping somebody into this? Do you actually have the evidence that supports that you walk somebody into this delivery? Nobody asks these questions.
Mm-hmm.
The industry for a long time was selling itself by saying, come on in, you can make a fuck ton of money on your
Mm-hmm.
innate gifts,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's like, also, yeah, but like, also, what's your fucking skill set, man? What are you selling? What's the actual delivery? What's the actual fucking process? What's the method? And
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm privy to this. I know this. I mean, I've invested so much fucking money in people that like now the advice that I was given so many years ago, I can't even believe one, at the time I handed my power over to somebody else. Two, that I literally tried almost every single thing that was ever given to me.
Right.
And I gaslit myself the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Gaslit myself the entire time, putting my power into these people's hands and saying, this is what they say, so I should be doing this. And
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not getting these results, I must not be an energetic match.
Mm-hmm.
I must be wrong. And it was like this further shame cycle that existed. It's like masochism at its fucking finest, hidden under this umbrella of like spiritual growth. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking crazy. And so I think like from the flow perspective of like stepping into certain things, like I also look at this, like I'm a human design reflector. I have a 1-3 profile. My ass is literally we're out of this season, I'm telling you. My ass is literally supposed to bump into life and get shit on and get fucked over to learn the lessons, to figure out how to overcome it. And then I'm supposed to transcend that, alchemize that, and teach it to everybody else. I'm fucking done. I'm done.
Yeah. I'm a 1-3-2, and I had the same question. I was like, when do I actually learn? Surely I don't move through the rest of my life just having to learn lesson after lesson after lesson.
You know,
Yeah.
and like there's also that piece of me that this is so funny. This is like definitely not the love and light version of Kim. This is like the human version of Kim, who literally says, why the fuck should I have to learn all this shit just to help you? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There is that portion of it where it's like 1-3s are naturally leaders. They're naturally, they tend to put themselves in positions of leadership because they know so much. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
just the truth of it. Not only do you love to investigate the fuck and be an expert on anything, stupid as shit, man. Like there are things that like I don't need to go down this rabbit hole. And yet by the end of the day, I'm a
Dude,
professional
I
in 5 different areas.
I'm listening to this book about morphic fields. It's by this like incredible scientist, this British scientist. I don't know his name right now. And I'm listening to it going, what the fuck am I here for? Like, this is not, give me rainbows, give me roller skates. Like, how am I even like here listening to this shit? But it's true. Like, how do I know so much about the gut microbiome? Because I immersed myself in it when I discovered that it was my issue, and I had to know. When I first did like Psych K, I like, and you can't find shit on the internet Psych K, but like I needed to know the processes and stuff, and it is so consuming. And it's very, I mean, I'm not a huge, I don't live by human design, but I will say that if you have your chart read, it can explain so much for you and actually help you move out of those patterns.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you catch yourself while you're in it. Well, and you have ADHD too, don't you?
No.
Oh, okay. So I'm
No.
also ADHD. And so
I don't listen. There's one thing that it's becoming more of my truth. I don't identify with fucking shit, right? So like my autoimmune issue, especially connected to food, that is like my battleground right now. Like trying to live in the like 2.0 version where tomatoes and paprika do not affect me, but still having them affect me. So if there's any kind of diagnosis going around or like someone says something, I'm like, nope, I don't even associate with that. But I will say I did a neurodivergency meditation with Tally Miller, and I at first it was free, and I was like, I'm not neurodivergent, like I don't need to go there. And then I got called to do, it kept coming up, and I was like, fuck. And then I had to pay for it because like it wasn't free anymore. And when I did that meditation several times, I think there's an aspect to everyone that has some type of neurodivergent just by default of epigenetics and the society we live in.
Totally.
Like the
Agreed.
screens, the like constant doing, how we got brought up and it's so cool. I heard my mom say this the other day. She's like, I've realized that my overdoing is how I get my self-worth. I was like, bitch, I've been telling you that for 10 years. I was like, but I'm glad you finally realized it because I had to unpack that shit for myself.
Yes.
But yeah, so I do think, but anyways, yeah, go on with your ADHD and
Well, yeah. So, and it's funny that you say that because I just got off. Well, I just got off a call and we already talked a little bit about this, about like the label aspect. Like, truthfully, when I look at me, this is just like reflectors just in general. I am a fluid fucking bitch. There are some days where I wake up, I am about to crack your ass up hard here, where there are some days where I wake up and I am like, I want to be a sexy princess, little vixen type of girl today. I want to look super pretty. I want to have my nails done. I want to have my makeup on. I want to all of the things. The fucking next day, you will catch me sort of looking like a butch lesbian. And that is just sort of the up and down of my nature, like the up and down of like, I'm going to be masculine today. I'm going to be feminine today. I'm going to be masculine, which is beautiful in business because it really does require both the aliveness, but you also like, no, baby, you need that masculine energy.
Mhm.
But anyway, so like for me, it's not even the label or the attachment to ADHD. It was just what it explained for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. Just that, I mean, I think that's what astrology, like all these modalities are such great tools to kind of help you understand yourself and then be able to unpack it and just live your most authentic life, right? Own
Well,
who you are, not own the diagnosis or not own the attachment to your identity, but just like be able to be like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna listen to this science book that fuck like I don't even understand the words to, but I'm gonna
and
get through it. I'm gonna get through it.
yeah. And I think like that, you just brought up another point that I just love is I was just talking about this earlier today, is about how most people want to know themselves and very few want to understand themselves.
Mhm.
And knowing and understanding two totally different realities, knowing you are at the surface and you're not going deep. That's the truth. When you understand yourself, there's also another layer there because just understanding yourself sort of means shit too. You can have like a little bit of like peace and belonging and understanding and acceptance in that space, but it's the implementation about changing the habits and understanding why you do certain things in the moment that is where the leadership is required, right? Like that is,
Absolutely.
and I think like that's the other aspect. And I mean this with love in the industry just in general, but there are a lot of people out there who are treating their business as if they are a celebrity, as if they are an influencer, as if they are like they're God's gift to earth. And it's like, you should just be in my energy because I walk through life so beautifully. And you should want to walk through life the way that I do it. Like the
Yeah.
truth is, I laugh at this. And I tell my husband this all the time. It's like the coaching industry is like equal parts service and narcissism. I mean, really, truly equal parts narcissism and service. But you can totally be in service when you know what the fuck you're doing.
Mhm.
And most people have been taught in this industry that it doesn't fucking matter what you're doing. Like
Mhm.
that literally, like, none of that, like, have you seen business coaches or coaches talking about like the actual curriculum that goes into your coaching containers and what that looks like and the methodology and the process and developing that and like creating benchmarks and indicators to know that your people are actually making progress? Like, no, nobody's fucking talking about it because that's work that nobody wants to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
They really genuinely think, again, we were taught this is very much conditioned, that you can just show up online, you can be your authentic self, and that's going to sell thousands of dollars worth of programs. And that's just like, this is where I like say, I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't know. I feel like we swung so far into self-expression that we're not landing, like, it's that masculine to feminine, right? COVID hit, everybody was in hustle drive, in terrible masculine energy. We were all wounded. We just were. Own it, right? Then we go into COVID and everybody's forced to lock down, everybody's forced to slow down. You immediately went into your feminine energy. Guaranteed, most of us had anxiety. We were uncomfortable. We were feeling like shit. We were depressed. Like, all of that. Was that a symptom of COVID, or was that a symptom in our energy shift? You know what I mean? Probably a mix of, but it's like we swung into this authentic self-expression space, which is so juicy and so beautiful and has a place at the fucking table. But like, also, we live in a real world with real fucking humans with.
All right, guys, we are going to pretend like it's 1992 and we are going to pause this episode. It's to be continued. This is called anticipation. If you have not felt this in a really long time, you're welcome. I think it's a feeling that we all need to bring back into our lives. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. And thank you once again for tuning in, and looking forward to continuing this conversation on the next episode. Thank you so much again for joining us here on Choices. You can go ahead and leave a 5-star review because we're all friends here. But if you really want to move the conversation forward, please connect with us on our social media accounts, which you can find the links below. Have a beautiful week, and we'll see you next time here on Choices.